We always serve Seva tea on the podcast. It's my favorite tea. You can get it at Seva Tea Lounge, which is inside Kavala Wellness in Long Beach, or on Etsy. And you can find out more information on Instagram at Seva Tea Lounge. She has so many different teas that she's curated. I have some here that I use for the podcast. I have Sacred Heart, Rama Tulsi, and Lucid Dreaming, which is a really fun one to have. But she has so many different ones. And because she's an Ayurvedic practitioner, she uses that as inspiration for her teas. Go check it out. We have the info in the bio below. Welcome to Healing Highs with Lara, where we talk about the highlights and serendipitous moments of our healing journey. I'm Lara. Thank you for joining us today. I'm honored to welcome our guest. For a number of years, she has taught seniors, cancer patients, and children to live their life to the fullest. She is an intuitive guide, also known as the Senior Whisperer, and the host of Your Health Vibes with Elena. Please welcome Elena. Thank you for joining us.
Yay. Thank you so much for having me. I feel so honored and blessed to be here today and
Thank you.
Excited for this opportunity.
Yeah, I'm so happy that we could sit down and have this talk, because I really see you all the time at different events.
Right.
But I feel I want to really hear your story and get to know you just from the little things that I have heard you share. So I love starting. My favorite question is, what brought you to your healing journey and why?
Well, yeah, great question. So I think my purpose on earth is to serve and to show up and to give back and show that love for others. But when I was in high school, it was going to be my senior year. Unfortunately, I got in a really major car accident, which was really scary. And I was rear-ended at a complete stop, 50 miles per hour, and had to go straight to the hospital. And on top of it, I was having senior pictures the next day.
Gosh.
So with all this, it was really scary, and I was super active. I was on cheer, I've done sports, I've done, movement and body were very important to me. And with that, I got a cervical neck sprain. They wanted me to wear a neck brace. Wow. And at that time I was in high school, and who wants to wear a neck brace in high school? So I was very resistant of that. And then, with all those things, I thought, oh my gosh, my whole world's shutting down. I sprained my neck. What am I gonna do? And then you get in this spiral, and then kind of go down that rabbit hole of what's next, or why did this happen, or how to show up. So with that, they really wanted me to start physical therapy. And that really kind of started a lot more too, because we got to do water therapy.
Ooh.
And water really saved my life, because being in that, I could move my body. I could show up for myself, and I could really feel my life coming back to me. Wow. Because being that young, having that type of injury, it could be to back surgery, it could be to neck surgery. And with that, I was like, I want to heal myself, and how, if I'm going through this, how else is someone else feeling? Wow. And showing up for myself. So that's kind of started the journey of where I wanted to heal and not be a poor me and not be a martyr about it, because if I have that energy, so that's more like the vibe of what you're doing, giving into that. If I would have just sat in that, it wouldn't have got me anywhere. Don't get me wrong. I think we need to embrace our darkness. So that also taught me too, was going with my feelings and being okay and feeling that, but what was I going to do with it?
Wow. That's incredible to have that type of thought perspective at that age.
Well, I always think so. They call me the Senior Whisperer. And growing up, I always felt like I was an old soul with a young heart. I always gravitated to this, always doing so. I felt like my soul kind of knew what was needed, or deep down more, as I said, more an intuitive. That's where I felt some of my gifts kind of started showing up intuitively. People were like, how do you know? I can't tell you how I know, as you know too, intuitively. As a hearer, we just, sometimes we get those messages that really open up to be like, okay, well, I don't know how I know, but
I know.
I know.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you were on that healing journey, what kept motivating you? What was like your why, as people say?
My why is that I didn't want to suffer feeling like a certain way, and I didn't want to not be able to move forward. I wanted to be a voice for someone else too. I wanted to show someone that even though we can be on all this, how can we pull ourselves out? What else is someone else? So as I said, I felt like my purpose is to serve.
Yeah.
So I wanted to serve someone else and to show up and be able to say, even though you've gone through this, there's other ways to heal. There's other ways to move forward with it and not sit and suffer and think like, oh no, poor me, I'm not gonna, how am I gonna do this or whatnot? But reaching out and telling my story. I think so many times we suffer in silence because we're not sharing our stories. And don't get me wrong, sometimes I was depressed. Sometimes, thinking like, am I gonna be able to move forward? Am I gonna be able to teach? Am I gonna be able to do these things? Yeah, I am. But how will I do it? And how do I want to show up for myself? And to show to someone else? And it's not one way or right way, because I think it was like, you have to do it this way. We're all putting in these boxes, and society wants us to heal this way, or oh, this did, or oh, I did this way. But I think in reality, we need to do what does your soul feel? What is your intuitive, like deep down, what does your body need?
Every individual is so different.
Correct.
When you were on that, I mean, to go through a car accident, that is a pivotal transformational moment. Did you have any other real pivotal transformational moments as you were moving through your healing? Yeah,
so unfortunately I was in 2 more. So you think like, oh, I'm done with one, and then you're back to another, and then you're back to another. And again, it really like put me back into perspective, like, why is this happening? What's going on? And to be honest, I was not driving any of those times. I was a passenger every time. So I think with that too, I was showing up like, not in that way, like, did I cause this? Or, you start to think like, what is the universe trying to show? Or is this like showing me like my next path? Is this why I'm supposed to be here? What am I supposed to teach? How am I supposed to show up for others? And the pivotal thing is sharing my story and being like, Elena, I can relate to you. Like, or making someone feel comfortable. We're so quick to judge, like, if you hurt yourself, well, I healed better, or I did this. And it's
the comparison.
And that's what I think the problem is in this, where we're trying to compare too much.
Absolutely.
We're trying to look at this or what's on, and for me, one of my big things is showing up authentically. And I think that's where I stand out differently, is I show up authentically online as I do offline. You're going to get what you get online here, and you're going to get that when you come to my house. But I think so many times we have such a hard time showing up authentically because we're so afraid of what everybody else is going to think. And so that's where I think with this journey too, is showing up for myself. And being real about it. If I'm having a good day, great. If I'm not, hey, you know what? My body's hurting and I need a timeout.
I love that. In yoga, they always say, like, accept your body where it is at today. What you can do, the poses you can do today. And I take that in everything I do. If I can, how am I going to show up at a party if I'm feeling a little bit drained? Or how am I going to show up for myself in my home? Like, can I clean the whole house today? Maybe not. Like, I feel like it's such a great message just to accept yourself where you're at today, no matter what the situation is, and accepting your body, what it can do. I know you said physical therapy, but what were some other things that helped you as you were moving through healing?
So I was moving, I love dance and like moving your body, like ecstatic dance and things like that. So I think so many times we think with therapy, it's just talk or just going to like a doctor or physical therapy. But to me, that's why I feel like that intuitive guide, what does your body crave? My body was craving like energy. When you're hurt, you can't do something. So I felt stuck. How else am I going to get out? I can communicate. I feel like this. I do this. But as you can see, I'm very expressive in my
gesticulation. That's so cool. I didn't know that.
So just moving my body of something like that. So I would like to get up and move my body and dance. Or, what I tell people in the morning, it's not, quote unquote, we hate to call it like exercise, because when people hear exercise, everybody has a different thing. So I just said, your intuitive guide of what feels good. Exercise could be walking around your room. Like yesterday I was with my 97-year-old grandma and she needed to get up and move. So we had her literally just walk around her house in her room like 3 times. But she did it. Yeah. And it was fun and we were cheering her on. And so it's just finding the right way. So also what was a big thing is chair yoga for me.
Yeah.
You know, and then people look, cause like, oh, you're young, and this judgment, like chair yoga. People are like, oh, that's, you're like, what is that? You know, getting this judgment.
Like people think you should be doing full, you know, yoga.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
And I think we're so quick to judge. We're already assuming or writing a story about someone, like, oh, she's in chair yoga. Like, what is this? And you know, opposed to asking them, why did you like chair yoga? Yeah. Why is it showing up? For me, it's because I can still move my body. I can still stretch. I still have that. I can't get up and down off the ground because it's hard and hard holding these positions.
Right.
But with this chair yoga, you can really do whatever you want with it and really open up from stretches to different positions to standing and balance stability stuff. So to me, that really opened up many more doors because I wanted to take yoga, but I couldn't. And no one was catering towards me.
Right.
No,
right.
You know, and I think that's hard. What I do is like I cater towards someone. Like if they can't do this, I give them a different alternative. Or you know, why also I work with cancer patients. A lot of times in these classes, people don't know how to teach them. So you're doing these moves that are actually hurting them. But if we're not knowledgeable about it, so I wanted to show up. I've never had cancer, but I can put myself in that. I can show up for them because there's so many things going on.
And everybody's different depending on how their body's feeling and also where is that cancer.
Right.
And so you're probably listening to what they need and developing a plan for them.
Yeah. And not allowing that to define them, because so many times they're going through this process and you're here and you're there and you're showing up, and then it's like that's defined, like, oh, that's blah blah with the kid, and it's like, no. Yeah. And rewriting that story, you can show up for you, like what is good for them. And I think too is me showing up and being that voice. And also for our seniors, that's why I feel very connected with them, because sometimes I feel they're getting taken advantage of. They want that voice, you know. So many times we just put them in a home, like, bye.
Right. And they have such a message for us and so much wisdom that they have an important voice, but it is often really quieted.
And I think their generation, or they told, you know, talking to my grandma, we weren't allowed to talk like this, so we had to tell our friends, or I didn't feel. And so my grandma always says, I wish I had someone like you who didn't judge me, who can show up. And we don't have it, you know, she's 97, I'm 42.
Yeah.
We didn't allow that age so I think that's another thing too, is I see people for who they are, not their number, not their age, not what is going on in their body. You know, I think sometimes too, when we're asking someone like, how are you?
Right.
And generally, I truly want to know, how's your soul doing?
Yeah.
How are you generally deep down? Because that's a very surface, like, how are you?
Yeah, I'm okay, I'm fine.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
But when someone like digs deep, which I think we need to do, is really dig deeper.
Right.
And that's where my journey started too, is like taking away that superficial. If you don't want to care how I am, I'd rather you not ask.
Right.
And have you show up authentically.
Right.
Than be like, how are you? And I'm okay, you know?
Yeah. I have a friend that she always says, how's your heart today? And yeah, it feels more like real checking in. You know, what is going on with you? What is your feelings today? What are you moving through? And sometimes it is like a quick light thing, and then other times it can be, and you don't even, maybe you don't want to get into it, maybe you don't have the time, but you can kind of say like, yeah, it's moving through some things today, you know. But it's at least you're kind of giving more of a real feeling than just, yeah, fine, good, okay,
right, good, you know. And I think so many times we don't want to burden, or we don't want to do, but I think too, like, that's what I love to teach people. It's okay. Like, if you don't talk about it, then like you're suffering in silence. If you talk about it, then that could help someone else. Yeah. And someone else, though, they don't feel alone, that they're the only ones involved in that.
Right.
So that's helped with my healing too, of the way I communicate. Right. What my needs are, like what I can give. Yeah. And giving back too.
Yeah, absolutely. When you were either on your own healing path or in the chair yoga for yourself, or when you were helping others learn that, did you have any moments that felt like really validating for your healing or what you were doing?
Yes, definitely. Like sometimes with my seniors, they said, oh my God, I got off the ground with my grandchild and I never thought that I could do it and play with him. And you're like, something so simple. But it's like, I feel like you have to celebrate the small and the big. We think we need to accomplish just the big, and like we're rushing to instant gratification, and that's our society.
Yeah.
But with this, a pivotal moment was something like that. Or I was just asked to do a workshop and thinking like, sometimes like, oh, they want me to do a workshop? Like, like second guessing, but knowing like what I'm doing really does have an effect on someone. So that was a big moment. Or, I was just asked to lead like a walk for mental health for JF&CS. And to know like, oh, like they want me to, you don't think, to lead something like that. And it's not about like the attention of having all these people, but it's feeling good that you know that you have accomplished, that you've touched someone.
And they trust you because you've shown up in those ways.
Yes.
So they're like, she can do this for us, and this will be, the right person for this. Yeah.
Yeah, I think trust, that's such a beautiful word to say, because right now in the world there's so much, and who do you trust? And people are getting taken advantage of. And I think that too is showing up. Like if I'm going to say I'm going to show up, I do, and it's actions speak much louder than words. I can talk the talk, but I walk the walk.
Yeah. That's so true.
Like I think that's a problem. I don't know if you've an experience with that too.
Yeah. I was just talking to somebody like a week ago about that we're about to do an event together, and we were talking about how sometimes you can kind of hear from someone, and then you meet them in person and you're kind of like, oh wow, this isn't what I thought it was going to be, because their actions aren't really aligning with the message that you had connected with.
Right. Yeah. And I think it's like connecting and showing up, and like if you say you are, then show up. Or what you said too, I think sometimes if we can't show up or can't do, I could be like, Lara, I'm at 10% today. So, just say what you can give. Because sometimes we want someone to be there and then we take it personally. But I think in any type of relation, even, with my partner, I was like, hey, bud, like today, hold on, bud. hey, Tony, I feel really depleted. Like this is all, and he was like, great, let me get you. Because so many times we think a relationship has to be 50-50.
Right.
And it's not.
Yeah, it's like whatever, like you said, what you can do that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, or even if you're going somewhere, it's like, I want to go to this event, but I feel like I can only do it for 1 hour. So I'm going to just tell, I used to say that to one of my exes. I would say, I'll go to that family event, but I think after 2 hours, I'm going to need to leave because I'm just feeling really tired today. Should we drive separately? Are you okay to leave after 2 hours? And then we would like try to, because I would, not want them to not spend time with their family or whatever it was, but also I need to honor yourself. How I'm feeling that day. Yeah. And
I love that you say that, because I think we need to honor ourselves more, because we feel we're going to let someone down or do, but having that communication then shows up better that way too, of like, you can give so much and then drive separately, because you don't have to do everything together.
And then that way it's like maybe they felt the same that day and they were like, me too, let's just leave after 2 hours. Or I do want to stay there because I haven't seen so and so for a while, and then you stay, I'm gonna head out. Yeah. I saw on your website you say your journey is to raise your heart, body, and soul vibes to transform your life. What is it that made you want to offer that, like as like kind of your way of being of service to others?
Yeah. So as I said, I feel like my purpose on the earth was to serve and love.
Yeah.
My mom said ever since I've been a little girl, I'd go up and hug people, like always try. And I felt like I was given so much love that I wanted to promote that. And I think, but here it is though, what I've noticed too growing up and everything, anybody can love, but you have to care enough to love. So with all of that, it's not only you're dealing with your mind, your body, your soul. Like, as I said, I want to get deep, not the surface level, but I want to know like how your heart is doing. How are you deep? So I feel like, and that's where people have a hard time connecting.
Yeah.
Because they don't maybe know how to, or they don't have those skills.
Yeah.
Or our ancestry. So those patterns.
Yeah, they weren't taught.
Weren't taught. And so I think too, growing up, like having more grace, like I love my parents and certain things, but there's certain patterns that I was like, no, I'm going to stop it here, but have more grace for them, because that's all their mom knew and that's all they did.
Yeah.
So that's another thing I kind of look at too, is having more grace with ourselves of how we're accepting and showing up.
Yeah. I know you've talked about chair yoga, being a senior whisperer. What are some other offerings that you have for the community, and what makes you love doing them?
So for me, I think I'm coming into a new realm of things. I think I want to offer, like I said, a smorgasbord of like a little bit of each, you know, and so with that, I'm more of like an intuitive program. So I want, because everybody's kind of different and dealing with, you know, different energies, different cancers that you have to do it. So sometimes I feel like having a specific program and putting me more of that. So right now I'm offering more of an intuitive guide session where we discuss what works best for you and doing a program that aligns right, opposed to picking one that could work or could not. Right. So for me right now, it's more of an intuitive thing, you know, and that may be good for someone. I may, you know, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. No pun intended.
That's awesome.
And we are drinking great tea.
Yeah.
So with that, because sometimes it's like, oh, you just work with seniors, and so I can't, you know, if I worked with kids. So I think I have a repertoire of stuff that I want to work. So I think with that is just having people come who feel like guided to that. Also, I would like to offer kind of more like a circle, like an ecstatic dance circle kind. Like come as you are. I think we need to just show up, let loose. Like one of my things I said, I'd love to like dance under the moon naked, you know? You know, dancing in the moonlight. But just, I feel like I can pull things out of people. You know, people are like, oh, I've never told anybody that, but I tell because I'm not here to judge. I'm here for you to show up as your true authentic self and show up as you are, but care enough. So you have to care. So more my thing is just showing that love, showing up and caring, and because I want to, and embracing that.
Wow, that's so beautiful, because really I think everyone needs that. I love that you said that about dancing, because I didn't know that you love dancing. That's like everything. Like I have to dance every day.
We're going dancing. I just got the chills. We're going dancing.
Like I danced for most of my life. Like that was how I expressed and processed all my emotions of being like I went to a performing arts school and danced like hours a day. So for me it's a lot of times like that's like my easiest form of expression. So I didn't know that about you. So I love that. I learned that.
We're gonna have to get our groove on.
Part of your work that you're telling me is helping people take care of their physical bodies. What is something that you could recommend for people to do to help themselves? And I guess because you're the senior whisperer, like as we get older, like what is something that kind of helps us?
So there's a few things. So some I like as like my self-care is certain things of like taking care of your body, but getting my hair and nails done are two of my favorites. So I think not only with our body, what's something that brings you joy? I think we forget what joy is. We gotta be an adult, and you're putting on these like adult panties and you know like whatnot, and
we lose that play.
That play feeling. So for me, I would say like just find something that's playful. You know, like for me it's that, or dancing, or you know, getting a massage. I love a massage, or I just got cupping. You know, it's that too. So acupuncture. Everybody has their own, but I'd say like try it out. You know, I think people are so afraid to try things, or it's like woo woo or this or that, or you know, Reiki. Like I do Reiki as well, and so being able to give it to myself or to give to others, I think there's no right or wrong or what it is, but what, as I said, brings your most happiness, joy. What makes you smile when you think of it?
Yeah, that's really true, because I think the more we can follow that, the more we're led to more things like that. And we bring more of that into our life. And everybody needs that. And when you're playing, or when you are like looking for those types of things, you're really in that creative energy, which is just like a good whole feeling about yourself.
It's like this. And you like believe in yourself more. Like when you're dancing or you're in that, your passion, like you're in, you know, what it is, and that you can show up for yourself, because so many times, you know, or if I wake up and I'm kind of feeling, I was like, oh, what's going to make me feel good? Oh, putting on like a song and just running around my house.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I know. I always am like, if I'm dancing, my cats are like, what's happening
right now? Or it's like, are my neighbors watching me?
Yeah, where I live, I'm so lucky. Like, I don't think that they can see me, but then I always wonder, like, what if I really think this and they actually can see me, and they're like, oh, this girl.
But they might be like, oh, this girl, I want to join her.
I hope, but then other times I'm like, maybe I don't want them to see me right now. I hope that they can't see me. I really hope that I'm like, sometimes I look out my window, I'm like, maybe that person could see in here. I know we've talked about Senior Whisper, but tell us more about that and like what came to, like, how did you come to that?
Yeah, so my biggest influence were my grandmothers. So I was blessed to have 3 of them because my dad's parents were divorced when he was 5 or somewhere around that. So don't quote me, Dad, because I know they'll love to watch this. They're very supportive, which is lovely. But so my grandma was very active, and then they had trainers come in, and just watching them just moving their body and having someone show up for them. And because the older get as I said, we forget about them, or we put them in this thing, or they're complaining my back, blah blah blah, but like in reality they just want attention. They want someone to show up for them and be seen. So with that, my grandma used to go to the gym. When she couldn't go to the gym, she had a trainer come to her. It was very motivating to see that. Mm-hmm. And as I said, I was called grandma growing up. I felt this like with my, I wanted to be there. I wanted to show up. Mm-hmm. And what I liked was it wasn't about an age, because I could come like, oh, little Elena, like so many times, sometimes people like think I'm way younger than I am in the way that I'm treated, and it's hard. I'm like, actually, I'm this age, and they're like, oh, I've been around the block. So working with these senior, I felt just very compelled and like to show up for them, because people aren't, or watching some of them get taken advantage of, because they think like, oh, like you're a senior, like you need this and this, and like, no, they don't. Yeah. They just need someone to show up and be real with them, not take advantage of them. So that's what really pivoted too, is like watching too many of these seniors getting taken advantage of, people not showing up, not relating. Yeah. But I wanted to relate. I wanted to show up. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be their voice and be that intuitive cheerleader for them that they couldn't be or seen.
I'm sure that's so fulfilling.
It really is. Or too, like, I'm a hugger. So like touch is like my language of love, Mm-hmm. And so just knowing that, like even putting your hand on someone's shoulder, like, ooh, that feels good. It's so funny. It's like, okay, like I'll take it, but if that's going to make them happy, or just asking for a hug, and during COVID and all this time, like we used to be able to just hug anybody, and I was used to that because I'm such a hugger. But nowadays it's like, can I hug you? And that's hard for me too, because I feel like everybody needs to be hugged.
Oh my gosh, they have that hug. There's like a guy that's like his specialty.
Yes.
He does the studies of how many hugs you need, like at least 6 hugs a day just to survive. Yes. And then there's like these more hugs for certain things. Yeah. So like anytime that I'm around a lot of people, I'm like, let's all keep hugging, hug goodbye, hug goodnight.
Yeah, I was like, just give me one more.
More hugs, hugs. Yeah, because it's so true.
And we're not. We're not touched, we're not hugged. And then, it's so sad, as I said, they're just put somewhere, or, a lot of times, too, it's hard, is that their kids take over. Mm. So telling them to control, oh, you can't go here because I need this, or you can't, or, they're going to, but they're the adults, so I'm kind of teaching them to have a voice, to stick up to their kids, to be like, this is my life too. I'm still coherent enough to make my choice. So that's where I feel too, I feel very compassionate about, is allowing them to still have their voice and not have that control, because everything is starting to get taken away from them. They can't walk a little bit, or they can't do this, and they're hearing. So now you're going to take away their control of actually having them show up for themselves. Yeah. And I show them they need to fight for themselves too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. To exert that control over themselves, and to be able to have that ability to say what they want. Yeah, like you said, things are slowly going away from them, and we need to that's what keeps you young, is to be able to use anything that you can still have available to you. So doing things for them or thinking like, oh, they can't do this.
Right.
Yeah.
Or have purpose. Because like even talking to my grandma, she's like, God, I'm not remembering. I'm getting old. Like, so just relating her, showing her like, no, like I'm 42 and I forget this. I was like, I don't even remember what I had for lunch today. And she's like, oh, that makes me feel better.
Yeah.
But we're so quick to judge, as I said, like, oh, you're old and you don't know. And it's like, no, like, I'm sorry you think that. Like, I think they're so fabulous.
Yeah. And like, we're
gonna be
hopefully
there.
gonna be there. So like, let's create like how would we want to be treated,
right?
You know? Yeah.
And what vibe? So that's why I created my part of that. And what I like to talk about is like what vibe. It's not changing you. So many people say like, I don't like to do a new year, new goal, and all that. For me, sometimes, and I think that's a little harder to process because then we put, I didn't meet my goal, and then I'm bad, and then
right,
you know that
judgment.
pressure, the judgment. So it's just really like showing up and what vibe. You have a choice of how you want to show up.
Yeah.
And that's up to you.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
Like that's what my mom always says. You have a choice, Elena, to how you want to choose to show up.
Yeah. No, that's like such a great thing for all of us to remember.
This episode is sponsored by Allure and Alchemy. They are based in Dallas, Texas, and are a full-service mobile beverage catering company that specializes in highly custom and bespoke events. They take care of all your beverage needs, match your branding or your theme, handle everything from providing the bar, supplying the glassware, to bringing the ice. They are experienced professionals with over 800 events executed. You get to choose from a lookbook of 42 delicious, stunning cocktails and mocktails. Their dedicated planning team will answer all of your questions, gather all the necessary details, and handle all of the logistics. Their team of licensed, insured employee mixologists arrive early, set up on time, and mix and shake the most buzzworthy cocktails. They have a liquor license and can provide the alcohol or serve using client-provided alcohol. All of their syrups, garnishes, juices, purees are made and prepared in their licensed industrial kitchen. Their motto is, let's party together. Check out their website, allureandalchemybar.com, or we'll have the information below.
If your childhood self or your teen self or you know, when you went through all of that your senior year could see what you're doing now, what would she say?
So like spirit fingers, go Elena. Like I'm really proud of myself of what old Elena would have done and what now, and just seeing myself differently and truly showing up for myself and like having more compassion for little Elena. Like, so I have a picture of little Elena on my desk. And so when things are going I tell her, I'm proud of you, because we don't do that enough. And we're always wanting that attention. Like, look at me when you're younger and understanding. But we need that attention from ourselves.
Yeah.
So I think just showing up for little Elena, I'd be so proud of her to say like, great job. Like, you did it.
Yeah, you really did it.
You know, and two, I think I've always felt like different. I'm super like sensitive, which I, used to think as like a negative thing.
No, yeah.
Because there's but now I've really embraced it. I'm so glad that I am who I am. I'm so glad that I can have that empath. I'm so glad I can express myself, which I always have.
Yeah.
But actually embrace it.
Yeah, because we can be told a lot, like being too sensitive, and in the world you need to like toughen up, and but being too sensitive is such a gift.
It really is.
You can use it for so many good things to help others.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we always. I just think like that was so beautiful. I kind of feel like that's like a really lovely place to end.
Yeah, definitely.
But we always end our podcast asking the void a question. I can ask if you want to ask the void something, or I have something to ask. Okay. Okay, so void, I'm going to ask, do you really know everything?
Yes.
Okay. Simple, short, and sweet. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you for everything you're doing, because like I said, we've known each other at different events. We see each other at different things. And we always talk about like, we're going to get together. We're going to, because I do feel like how you said you do show up so authentically, and you are such a bright light for others. Like whether it's in person or you just send a lovely, sweet message, like you really are just such a loving energy, the warm, accepting energy. And I just think we all need that. And I just appreciate that you do that. And I know you have to be helping your little community so much, because if I'm experiencing just this little bit and it's so lovely for me, what are they experiencing spending like an hour with you or a day with you? So I just appreciate what you're doing, but also like that you came here to share that with us.
Well, thank you so much too. Like, I just felt like just instant connection. Every time we're together, I feel so seen and loved by you, and just the way you show up for others is so magical, and it's so real and raw, and your energy, like, I just feel blessed to be on here too. So thank you for having me, and just
thank you.
I'm excited to go dance with you.
Yes, now that we know that.
Yes.
So thank you so much, healer, for joining us today. I wish you joy and serendipity on your healing journey, and I hope our paths cross again. Yay. Awesome.